This is Joycey
and Blake,
and welcome to
Savagely Scaled.
I am so excited for this episode. This is the inaugural episode for our affiliate of the month, where we will be talking about a very special gym every month, and also have the opportunity to step in to their gym and take a class.
Yeah, which we'd love to do. I know with this is the first segment one, and we're not always going to be able to go. We would love to go to maybe Hawaii, all these other places. But we are so thankful for Jeremy at Thousand Oaks, all of the members that we saw that morning, and Marissa for doing all of the video. She was amazing too. So let's get into this first affiliate of the month segment.
Yeah. Let's dive in.
Yep.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, so we're starting off our segment of Affiliate of the Month here with CrossFit Thousand Oaks, and we have Jeremy with us.
Hello.
Hey there. Thanks for having us first and foremost in your class. We're really excited to be here.
Yes, we did a class and I almost died.
Yeah, I was out of breath a little bit, but it's all good. It's part of the process.
Yeah, it is. But he had some good tips that he gave both of us. So that's really nice. So thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, because we don't do jerks at all, I feel. At least split jerks.
We do push jerks a lot. Yeah. So it was.
So I learned a lot about split jerks today.
Yeah. So Jeremy, what made you join this CrossFit cult or this CrossFit
the world
village?
of CrossFit?
Yes. What started you?
Well, I mean, first of all, let's address that. Is CrossFit a cult? It's a common thing that you hear thrown around. The answer is yes. It absolutely is. I'm proud of it. No,
a good one.
So really, to not just take up all the time just telling an origin story, my whole thing was I went to high school in the Southeast, and I remember being in high school trying to get into some kind of weightlifting program or some kind of gym thing, but I did not play sports. I still don't play sports. I am fit, but I'm not athletic. And so when I signed up for this weightlifting class, they booted me out of it because I didn't play sports. They said it was only for the athletes. And
what does that even mean, right?
In Southern terms, it means if you don't throw a ball, you're useless.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, because you grew up in the South?
Yeah, I'm originally from just outside of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, yeah, they're big about cheerleading and football.
Friday Night Lights, all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I was an art student, and I just wanted to figure out weightlifting and explore my way through it. And they said no. And so, I just, I guess I was a sophomore at the time, they told me that. And so I just kind of got it in my head, okay, I guess it's not for me. I guess that's only for athletes. And so there was definitely this divide that was in place for years. And it wasn't till I was almost done with college that I said, screw it. I'm going to try it anyway. I'm get a membership at local community center and just figure it out.
Right.
And that's exactly what I did. Wow. Met a couple of guys that I essentially just asked them if I could follow them around for a couple of days and copy what they did because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
We became buds. They showed me the ropes and I was off. And come to find out, I really enjoyed it. And I was actually kind of good at it. And I'm like, oh, well, this would have been nice back in high school.
Yeah.
And got so invested in it that I started working with my friends and people started coming with me. And it's like, oh, I should probably look into personal training because I bet I'm not the only one this has happened to.
Yeah.
That, people that have wanted to get fit, but know that they're not quote unquote athletes. So why bother? And I was right. One of my first clients was actually a guy I graduated with who was in band, and it was the same thing. Band took up all his time. He didn't play sports, so he couldn't get in the weight room and had zero idea what he was doing. But fast forwarding to that, I started personal training as a full-time job. I was at Anytime Fitness, which is just it's like a 24 at LA, just one of those things. And got going with clients. I definitely loved the training aspect of it, but what I found was that I was in the back corner of the gym most of the time with med balls, a couple of dumbbells. They didn't even really have actual barbells because everything was a Smith machine or a leg press or things like that. I would take clients outside to go run because, in the autumn in the South is actually really nice. The leaves change colors. It's beautiful weather. So we'd run the neighborhoods and then go in and do some functional stuff in the back corner. And my bosses told me to stop doing that. And they said, you can't run outside. And I asked if it was like a waiver thing or a liability. And they said, no, it wasn't that if I take them outside the gym and work out with them outside the gym, they will think that they don't need the gym. To which I answered, they don't need this gym.
Yeah,
we use one small corner in the back. Like, they don't need all of your weird, fancy, expensive toys.
But I mean, like, even when I did 24-hour fitness, there's also a time when, like, all the bikes and all the treadmills are, like, taken, you know, and I'd rather run a track than wait and sit there and wait for my cardio warm-up.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't need the gym waiting. That's crappy.
Oh, yeah.
Very crappy.
I definitely, I was immediately starting in this industry that I loved and immediately getting soured by it.
Shut down.
And my clients were bummed too, because they were like, that was like the fun thing. Like,
they were growing, and then they're just getting cut off on that.
So I left there and actually went to business for myself, and I did personal training at people's houses or whatever gym would let me, just be freelance in there, and just traveled around. I had a Ford Mustang that had a bunch of stuff in the trunk, just plyo box, random med balls, dumbbells, and I would just go to people's houses.
Yeah, plyo box in a Ford Mustang.
It was not.
Is it a two-door?
Not a 2430 one, just
a
little
just
small
a tiny one.
Yeah, just enough to get a few inches off the ground.
There you go. Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, and that was it. And then found a Groupon for CrossFit that I randomly walked into, and on day one, I was looking around, going, "These people have taken what I do, condensed it to one spot, have people come to them, and they're way better at it." My first workout was Lynn, which is body weight bench press and pull-ups.
Love those.
Yep.
Which, as a bodybuilder at the time, was the best workout I'd ever done.
Yeah, you're like, I got this.
Yeah.
And
It was meant to be.
for me, I'm like, oh no, horrible.
Yeah. So I left with a killer pump on my first day.
There you go.
Greatest thing ever. Said, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Showed up. Said, what's a thruster? And had my day ruined.
Yeah.
The worst move ever.
And so I was hooked after that. It was functional fitness, at its best. This was like 2012, 2013, something like that.
Wow.
And I know one of the first classes I was beating a tire with a sledgehammer.
Yes.
So
I
cool.
remember those days.
Yeah. It was like
flipping tires. I felt so strong.
I love that. Yeah.
And so I was hooked, and ended up leaving the South and traveling around a bit. And I just, I would join different gyms when I would get to a new town, and one of those towns happened to be Thousand Oaks, California. And that gym, CrossFit Thousand Oaks, was the first kind of home gym that I felt like I had. I engaged with the community. I loved the scenery. I loved living in California, and immediately just made a ton of connections and fell in love with the place. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to stay here too long, so I was here. I got my L1 and started doing some coaching, because all I had to do was turn one-on-one fitness to group fitness.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I knew how to work with people, knew how to talk with people. So the transition was pretty easy. And the owner at the time brought me on, showed me a couple of things, but it was really just, there you go.
Yeah.
$1,000 in a weekend, you're off to the races.
Yep.
Wow.
Let's do it.
That's it.
And so I left for a while, came back to California, ended up landing in Redondo Beach and joining a place called CrossFit 310.
Okay.
And that is where I met a man named Chris Germain. He was and still is the owner. And me and him connected in a big way. Like we were on the same wavelength, and we thought about fitness the same way. And that was the first time I had real mentorship into coaching. And it wasn't just about movement, but mostly about people. And that was the big missing piece. So for about 1.5 years, I worked under him, and it was just wonderful. But learning the ropes of not only how to work with different people, how to progress, how to scale, all the things that any CrossFit coach needs, but also how to engage with people and how to take this thing more than just doing burpees on a stall mat. And fortunately and unfortunately, CrossFit Thousand Oaks at the time was kind of dying. The membership was going down. It was in a tiny location. The old owner was he was done. He'd been in it for years. CrossFit Thousand Oaks is one of the first 100 affiliates in the world.
Wow.
So it had been around for quite some time.
Wow.
I had no idea. That's cool.
Yeah. And I still had friends up here.
Oh, yeah.
So
No brainer.
One fine day in the middle of the night, it was, one of my best friends, Chase, and I, we, found out it may be up for sale, and we were in our 20s, and
might
why
as well
the hell
take
not?
that
Take the jump.
Yeah.
I was like, if it's going to die, I mean, we can either, send it out in a blaze of glory or fix
Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm.
And 4 months later, we were profitable again. And
Wow.
8 years later, we're thriving in this location now.
Yeah.
Skipped a lot of steps there, but that's kind of how it came. But really, leaving 310 was the hardest part.
Yeah.
But it was also the thing that gave me the confidence to actually do it, because I knew that what was happening there was magic, and I knew it could happen elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the main thing people asked me when we took over and got it successful again is, what'd you do?
Yeah.
And the answer is simple. And pardon my language, we gave a shit.
Yeah.
And a big one at that.
Because
And-
there's some that completely do not, and you just know that they're tired. The spark in their eye is gone. They don't see how they can build anything or want to try anything new or just put any effort into it.
Absolutely.
So
so when we look back and what CrossFit Thousand Oaks is, because we don't have a very defined mission statement or anything, but my story and my tagline is I still want to give fitness to the ones that fitness said no to.
I love that.
do you have that on a shirt?
No.
You need that.
You should. I was like, I would buy
on
that.
a water bottle. Oh my gosh, yes, that is a perfect tagline. You need to hashtag that all the way, 100%.
Plus, we're big on merch, so
Yeah.
Well, that's, that was always kind of our thing. And so when you look at our clientele, you don't see only athletes.
Yeah.
You see the moms,
Mm-hmm.
you see the grandmothers, you see the people that have been chained to a desk for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
You see the kids getting out of college, not knowing what they're doing.
Yep.
You're seeing the ex-football player that wants their abilities back. You see it all. We do the open here, we throw down, we do hard things. It's still CrossFit.
Yeah.
Right.
But you don't have to go to quarters or semis or even the games to make this thing worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
It ultimately comes down to fitness for life.
Yep.
And that's what functional fitness is. You want to have better quality of life.
Yeah.
You want to keep the handicap rail as far away for as long as possible.
yeah.
My mentor, Chris, he always told me his main reason for doing it was he had 4 kids and he didn't want to be that dad sitting on the park bench.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a ton of people out there like that.
So many.
And so no matter what your reasons are, it's got to start somewhere. And we start with just engaging with people and showing movement. That's it. If it happens to come under the guise of CrossFit, awesome.
Yeah.
But it was never about that.
Mm.
It was always about people first.
Wow.
Yeah, that's awesome because a lot of people drive the money first.
Yep.
And then this is a business that is very, people driven. You need people in here.
Absolutely.
So for that tagline is amazing.
Yeah.
100%.
Or even the longevity factor. I think a lot of the athletes come in with a goal, I'm trying to get a 6-pack or I'm trying to get this and that. And I think it's a good point to kind of bring up the whole longevity idea of hey, we're working towards a long-term goal and not just getting to one place, I could say.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. One of the first reasons I wanted to get into the gym is hey, if I put on some muscles, I'm
Right.
Yeah, I remember going into 24-hour fitness and the butt was really big. So all the bands with the butt and everything. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. But then when I stepped into the CrossFit gym, I was like, oh my gosh, you can actually build muscle and not be bulky. Because that was my biggest thing. Because back in, 2012, 2013, a lot of people were like, yeah, CrossFit, that's for bulky girls.
Yep.
And I was like, I already have really big thighs. I don't want to be bulky, but
Amen.
but I loved it and what it built for me as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you become a mom, I'm also Blake. I'm not mom at the gym. So it's my other being a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had
So
some time.
that's awesome that you're driving that too as well.
Yeah. There's deeper conversations on joining a community and finding like-minded people and having a support system. And that's
the biggest pull.
That's the cultness, except we don't have that dictators telling us that we can't do.
Yeah. Well, they're telling you what to do out there on the floor, but
They give you options.
That's right. Yeah. And I think that's ultimately the biggest pull, at least for me, in terms of CrossFit as a community. At the end of the day, they remind you that, like, even if I'm having a bad day, like you even told me, like, don't feel defeated, you know, if you're being, you know, asked by your coach to do this and that. And I think that's another conversation too. It's like, how do you keep the new members motivated when they're learning a lot and they're feeling, you know, a little defeated? But maybe we can talk about that a little bit more, like for your newer members, people who come into the gym and are feeling like this is brand new, this is different, like I feel like I'm not advancing, or maybe everything I'm doing is not where I'd want it to be. Like, how have you, in your experience, maintained that motivation?
So, I mean, perspective's the big thing, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The class you guys just took had split jerks in it. In the realm of fitness and what we need to do in here, split jerks are not a big thing.
Yeah.
Like, they're fancy, they look cool, everybody likes them. Like, but day to day, like, if we don't have a shoulder press, who cares about a split jerk?
Yeah.
If we can't safely put our overhead luggage in the bin at the airport, like, cool, nobody's going to do a split jerk in the aisle to make that happen. Like, we have to just build our body first.
Yep.
So having that laid as a foundation, that helps not get buried in the fancy stuff. Yes, there's plenty of people that come in here and be like, well, I don't have any reason to do a muscle up. Like, cool. We can get you a pull-up, though. We can have you safely hang and support your own body weight, which to, you know, the 60-year-old lady, that's probably a little bit more useful and appealing.
Yeah.
But with stuff like that, like, it's, if you start from day one, someone comes in, they're going to have goals and expectations, and it's getting on the same page with them. Clear and concise expectations, standards, and cues will save you a lot of trouble down the road. Like, and this is, I guess, me talking to coaches and athletes. Yeah. Because if you don't know their goals, if you don't know what they're trying to do, then it's kind of hard to help somebody. But they have to truly understand their own goals and needs too. Because, you know, there's the classic, like, oh, I want to lose weight. And do you want to lose weight, or do you want to look banging in your jeans? Like, which one is it? And it's like, oh, yeah.
Or get stronger.
Right. Does he sound like Chris Simmons at all? I'm just going to tell Chris to shave his head. You guys sound exactly the same. But it is that.
It's true, though, yeah.
Because I think that was, like, bred in the 80s and 90s. Like, just lose weight. And it's like, but we're in a different time.
There's so many ways to.
Do you want to look banging? Do you want to help? Like, if you fall on the floor, do you want to know how to get up? Do you want to do those things? So, yeah.
Like, I mean, even if it's a superficial, like, I want my shirts to fit better. Like, absolutely. Like, cool. Like, so you want to change shape. You don't really care what a scale says.
Yeah.
Like, these are different things. Like, some people, like, we got to lose some weight. Cool. We're going to burn some fat. We're going to build some muscle. Like, we are going to get you healthy again.
Yeah. Right.
But, I mean, for someone that's driven by numbers, that probably works. But for most people, it typically doesn't. Yeah. They want self-esteem. They want health. They want, you know, to feel good. Yeah. And so understanding that as a motivation will help you talk to them better, will help you, like, give better advice. And then when it comes to movement, their expectation is like, hey, I want to feel better. I want to look better. Cool. Learning a split jerk right now is not the best step towards that, especially if I'm skipping other things to get to it. So now we're all on the same wavelength. Like, cool, I'm going to build to this. I am on a journey. I am not throwing darts at a wall and just doing whatever it lands on. Like, it's randomness, but it's a controlled randomness, and there's a method to the madness. Believe it or not, for all things CrossFit, there is a method. We do these things for a reason. There's proper progressions. So with a new person coming in, understanding that progression over replacement is the key to scaling. Like, scaling is not a dirty word, because it's not, I can't do this, so I have to do this. Yeah. It's, I can't do this yet, so I'm going to build towards it.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, 100%. Because I feel like athletes or members just are like, well, you're taking it away. And I'm like, I'm not taking anything away. We're building on top. If we just go from point A to point Z, what did you learn? You did not learn anything, and you're going to hurt yourself. And that's what I take away is when people say, CrossFit hurt me. Well, we went from A to Z because we didn't want to do A, B, C, D, E.
Too much too soon.
Yep. And so, like, a lot of people feel like scale, modification, any of those words are very like, don't do that. Don't say that to me. Yeah. And I'm like, I started there. Majority of the people here started that way. Like, we all start here. We all didn't start at the same time. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's what I'm like. Scaling's awesome because I built that workout for you. It wasn't on the board. Everybody else is doing a boring one on the board. Yours is special for you.
If you can run a class and have everyone going the same direction, just on different levels, that's a successful class.
Yeah.
And my big issue and I think it's helped perpetuate this like scaling's a dirty word kind of thing, is people look at it like a staircase when it's a ramp. So you don't jump from one to the next.
Yeah.
You build through it. It's a sliding scale for it. So if we take something like a pull-up, your standard hang from the bar, pull your chin, put your chin over the bar.
Yeah.
Cool. Like we have to build that somehow. Ring rows help build strength. There's different ways to pull in a ring row. You can go overhand, you can go underhand, you can twist as you pull. Are you pulling to your chest, or are you pulling lower on your body? Is pull up the end goal, or is muscle up the end goal? If you want to build beyond that, you have to learn to engage lats more, turn your thumbs to the inside, push down on the rings, pull towards your hips. So when you hang and pull and kip on a bar, that push down method is still there.
Yeah.
You're building muscle memory because you're building. You're not doing ring rows because you can't do pull-ups. You're building ring rows to build your pull-ups.
Yeah.
Like I can go out there right now and do a set of ring rows and get a killer workout
and
walk away sore and beat up, because ring rows are hard, especially when done right. And it's one side to this multi-sided thing that builds to a pull-up. You move over to jumping and start building endurance. And especially if you teach it as a kipping progression, not as bouncing up and down, pulling on a bar, you can adjust the height of the box. It's infinitely adjustable to how hard do I want to make this jump. You can move to single leg and start building your arch and hollow positions that come along with gymnastic pull-ups. And then, again, adjusting the height, then you can even adjust the height of your pull. You can build your jumping chest bar, your jumping muscle up. Then you can move over to a lower bar or a barbell on the rack and do some kind of foot-assisted strict work. You can find a box, jump up, control a negative all the way down to extension. You can grab various bands and measure them and work strict pull-ups from a band. We have 4 or 5 options right there for one movement. And so if you have a coach and an athlete that can get on the same page, understanding that we're not going to just attack it one singular way, but a multifaceted approach to build all things of this movement. Now it's not a dirty word. Now it's strategy. Now we're working towards something.
Right.
And we're getting the same constantly varied notion that comes with CrossFit.
Yeah.
So, which is exactly what we do in our programs. I mean, typically the big 2, jumping pull-ups and ring rows to start, but there's endless things there.
Yep.
I'm not a big fan of kipping with bands. It's dangerous to me, but bands have their place just like everything else.
Yeah.
And so we can set expectations, know like, all right, our end goal is we want to be good CrossFitters. We want to have our pull up. We want to have our chest bar, maybe even one day a muscle up. Cool.
Yeah.
We got to start somewhere. Oh, and I didn't even get into dead hangs and active hangs on a bar. There's you another one.
Yeah. So many. So like, even with you saying all of those steps, did that start to grow when you were with Chris Donnan?
Yes.
And did you start to pick things that he would teach you and then start to grow with yourself of things that you liked to add? Because when I looked at your on-ramp, which is amazing on-ramp, and I would love our gym to look into something like that and other gyms, did you like piece both of like your idea and his idea, or?
Yeah, I mean, and you know, I give Chris a lot of credit, but like it wasn't the end all be all. Like he was preaching what he was taught as well. And so, yes, there was seeing the active hang versus the dead hang on the bar, the different ways to do ring rows. I mean, some of the best coaches in the world should plagiarize everyone they know.
Yeah.
Like, pick the good stuff. Like, I hope when you...
Oh, I am so taking so much. Because, like, things that you have said have, like, completely blown my mind, or some of the movements. And I do that when I go to drop-ins. Like, a really good coach will, like, just the little sentences or the little mannerisms that you have. Because I can go anywhere, and it just takes one person to finally click. But I love the ring road that you had shown Joyce, and I was
variations,
like, I'm not going to be a brat like I was earlier. I'm going to actually do that.
And credit where it's due. Like that push down on the rings is straight from the old CrossFit gymnastics course. That's where I got that. And
so how many courses have you taken through?
Oh gosh.
Because that's one that I wanted to do, but I didn't know, like, because my back, if you had to.
So the gymnastics course, I took it back when it was called CrossFit Gymnastics.
Yeah.
And I also did the CrossFit weightlifting. I was going to do the kettlebell one, and then that's when they cut them. side story on that. The one thing I always loved that CrossFit HQ did is when it came to CrossFit, they were very like, all right, cool, we know what we're doing. But when they're like, cool, we borrow from weightlifting and gymnastics and all these things. So for their courses, they went and found gymnasts. They went and found weightlifters. Oh, wow. These weren't CrossFitters turned gymnasts. It was gymnasts that liked CrossFit. Oh, so you got it from the other side. The gymnastics course and the weightlifting courses were so good back in the day because they were from the professionals of that specialized sport. CrossFit is not specialized. They try to take everything. So when you need to deep dive on one thing, you can only go so deep. Having 3 professional gymnasts talk to us about hollow and arch position and having us do archer push-ups and L-sits and tucks and like pikes and glide kips and all this stuff. And I'm like, I just know how to fling myself up on it. I don't know what we're doing right now.
Yeah, gymnastics is definitely my worst side too. I'm like, there's no way.
But that's what they had said. They talked about building proper lats versus just yanking on things. And one of them told me there's no such thing as a pull-up. There is only push downs. Oh, you start with your hands above your head and you continue to push down until that bar is at your hips.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Perspective again. Yep. There you go.
And so, like, if you think hanging from a bar, if you just push your hands and elbows down, that bar is not going to move. It's bolted in, which means you go up.
Yeah. See? Another thing we learned.
So, taking those courses, my mentor, Chris, and then just experience. I mean, there's things. I've been in this, I've owned this gym 8.5 years. So I've been in CrossFit over a decade, just pick things up. I mean, there's definitely some things I'll throw in there and it's like, oh, that came out right from between the cheeks. Like, I don't know. Like, I guess I made that up. I don't know. But, trial and error. Test and retest. CrossFit's big on that. Like, I'll definitely say some stuff and be like, well, that went over like a lead balloon. So never doing that again.
So obviously with you taking courses, you like to learn a lot of things and embrace them in the classroom. Yes. And just, like, do newer things or like combine new and old, which sounds really awesome because I feel like sometimes some of us get stuck in our ways.
Absolutely.
And the world just keeps turning, but it needs to grow. Absolutely. And some of the gyms that I've been to, like dropping in, it's like old time CrossFit, which I loved. Yeah. I absolutely loved it. But I do love learning new things or learning new techniques or things that engage my lats or different movements. Mm-hmm. And it just sounds like that's what you're doing.
Yeah. If something can evolve, like that, it'll ultimately die. Yeah. And CrossFit has evolved over the years. Mm-hmm. And I think that's like the leading fight right now of affiliate owners is like, we have changed and we want the public to know that we have changed. Yeah. Because that this is for anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it may not be for everybody, but it is for anybody. Mm-hmm. Like, anybody can come in here and do this. And so, if we think back of, the good old glory days of 2010 to 2013, like, just come in, throw some chalk on it and like just grip and rip, baby, hand tears or trophies, all that crap. Like, it's that had its place and it was fun, but we can dust and vacuum after, we can clean up, we can do a proper warm up and cool down, we can progress and scale and give this to everyone, not just the people that, were looking to just get murdered every time they got a workout. Like,
I remember those days.
Do a hero workout every other day or whatever. Like, it's like, let's follow a program. Let's get progressions in. Let's test and retest to make sure what we're doing is actually working. Yeah. Like, that's what the public needs to know. And a new person coming into the gym, that's what we want to teach them. Like we're going somewhere. Yeah. Like, we're doing this for a reason. We're not just pulling stuff out of a hat and hoping for the best. Yeah. Like, we are doing weightlifting cycles. We are doing progressions. We are doing things that will lead to other things.
How do you feel about the change within the affiliate? Like, in the beginning of the year where coaches had to get their level 2, prices went up for people. How do you feel about that? If you want to talk about it, I can easily edit this out. No problem. Yeah. I don't want to blacklist you on anything. No.
First of all, they can't touch me. No, it's it's really how deep in the woods you want to get on that. So for the level 2, I think all but one of my coaches have a level 2 already. Yeah. Level 1s are awesome for like a peek behind the curtain into all things CrossFit. Yeah. Like, I was telling Joycey earlier, it's like, even if you don't want to be a coach, a level 1's cool to get. It'll make you a better athlete. It'll make you understand what you're doing better.
Yeah, when I went, there was like 10 people who were like, oh yeah, I just want to learn more about CrossFit, which I was like, that's really cool. I was like, I wish I had $1,000 just to learn about CrossFit back in the day. But I thought it was awesome that people who just wanted to join CrossFit did it, because it's a beginner course on CrossFit. 100%.
Yeah, you understand, not only what you're doing, but why you're doing it. And, helps you. They do come at it from a coaching perspective a little bit, but I mean, let it be known to everyone, like one of the growing up things that CrossFit did is $1,000 in that free weekend does not make you a coach.
No.
Like it is the barrier to entry to be trained to be a coach.
Yep.
And that's just my opinion on it, but like that, it gives you the necessary tools to start a mentorship where someone can really teach you, like, this is how to work with people. This is how to onboard. This is how to triage, how to look for stuff, like how to manage a group, not just that's what a med ball clean looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad. I was going to say, I'm glad you bring that up, because I think as new CrossFitters, that's a big thing too, of just saying, how can I trust this person with my fitness and my wellness? And I guess this person who I just had 5 classes with, right? And like, because at the end of the day, people who are walking through that door are pretty much putting their trust on these coaches that they're going to do it in a safe way and pretty much teach them all they need to do with, because let's be real, I think one of the biggest conceptions of CrossFit is, oh, you're going to get injured, or I get PTs or, chiropractors saying, oh, you'll be back in a few weeks because you're doing CrossFit. And I think that's a big misconception that's out there for a lot of new people who are joining into CrossFit. Like, how can I have faith and trust that the coaches are, doing their job or educated and everything? And I think, like you mentioned, this whole level 1 and being like, I guess learning all of these things are a big factor in that. So
it was a badge of honor kind of that we wore. And then I know through CrossFit 310 had said it a lot too. Like, it's very difficult to work here because like, it's like, I'm not taking a cookie cutter coach off the street to entrust with my people.
Yeah.
I owe them more than that. Absolutely not. Like, you're going to shadow, you're going to mentor. Like, for most people, it takes months of after they get certified and after they've been ingrained in the community, then it's months of shadowing, mentorship, like teaching drills, yada, yada, yada. Like, it's not I don't just hire somebody. Like,
and I think
asking for trouble.
Yeah. That's like one of our, not one of ours, our owner is that way. You have to shadow, you have to, shadow everyone who's coaching that have coached for 5 or more years, and also do that mentorship with them. And it like shocked me. I was like, are you sure you want me to be a coach? Because I'm a very people person. So like, well, you have all the people skills. You know when they're sick, about their kids, about everything. You have those skills, and we can mold you because you've been doing CrossFit so long. And I'm like, but I've also have a lot of bad habits.
Yeah.
But it was like that pride when I was able to shadow or mentor and be like, that, oh my gosh, I get it now.
It clicks.
And seeing like that with the athletes, like even this like past year I'm like, yeah, I'm proud of you guys and I'm proud of me because I'm actually like, I did everything right and I've been doing it. So it's not just the person on the sidewalk that can do it.
Yeah. And and not to take anything away from someone that like wants to get into this, but there's certain things you have to have set in place before you can. And like the certifications and all that are definitely those definitely have their place. But the number one thing, and Dean kind of mentioned this earlier when we were chatting, is the very first requirement is you must unapologetically give a shit about other people.
Yep.
That's it. Like, if you're in it for the accolades and for the money, like,
that's not
sorry,
it.
bud. Like, go open a gym and hope for the best. But it's not going to cut it. You have to be others first. Like, at least here. And because people will see through it if you're not.
100%.
So, like, if you're not honing your craft, if you're not actively practicing, if you're not engaging with people, like, you will get left behind by the entire community because they won't trust you with anything.
Right.
And so back to your question of a new person coming in is like, who is this person? It's typically going to be the one that's like, hey, we're going to take time with you and actually onboard you into this because we are not lifeguards. We are not watching you struggle in the deep end and we'll save you if you're drowning. But it's like, no, we're here to teach you how to swim.
Yep.
And so for new people coming in, we do an onboarding program, which is what you kind of mentioned earlier, we do 5 one-on-one sessions with every new person that comes in the door. It's a day on squatting, a day on pressing and pulling, a day on hinging, a day on single arm, single leg, and a day on the Olympic lifts. And these are movement patterns. One of my dearest friends, Tyler Baca, he's a PT up in Portland, Oregon. He and I sat down, pinned this thing together with movement in mind. Not CrossFit, but movement patterns and how to move through everyday life with good mechanics, because that's what keeps you alive. Mechanics, consistency, intensity is always the hierarchy. So we have to build mechanics in a safe and controlled environment before just throwing you in with this very intense, high energy, random class that you may have dropped into. No, having a controlled method to build these things, then we can start to ease into that other stuff, because that is the growing up that CrossFit had to do.
Right.
I know when I started, it was like, yeah, come on in.
Yeah.
Which was cool. And thank goodness I was already a trainer. So I, had some good habits, but you do that with the 40-something soccer mom that's never done this before. Yeah. You're going to rip her shoulder out. It's just going to happen.
What made you want to do it with your PT friend?
We were friends first, and we knew, like, we just agreed on this stuff. Yeah. We didn't have to think about it. It was very organic. It was like, we need an on-ramp program. We don't want to see people injured. He was a PT turned CrossFit coach. I was a CrossFitter that loved watching like PTs work. And it was like, these two should be one and the same. Physical therapy and fitness should be a team effort, not I messed this one up, so now I go to this one. Like, the fact that so many doctors and coaches are not friends is a problem.
It is.
And that's you could do a whole podcast on that. The marriage of health and fitness. They are not at odds with one another. They are a teammate.
Yeah. Because you hear so many chiropractors, oh, you must be a CrossFitter. And it's like, I would love to just you put together. So we do have a physical therapist, because she became, she was an athlete and then became a coach, and then was like, oh, this would be a good thing. And I was like, yes, this is how it should be.
Yep. There was a lot of need. Yeah.
So, and Tyler was a member here at the time.
Okay.
And, or for a long time, I did his onboarding, and he was a member with CFTO through his whole schooling. He broke my heart and moved to Portland. Whatever. But when he came back, I told him, I expressed the need and want for it, and the gym that he's a part of in Portland, he's like, yeah, we kind of need it too. So he follows a very similar program.
It's an amazing program. Just reading it, when I was just in here with Joycey, my face just lit up. It's an amazing onboarding program, and the way that you guys built it down. And broke it down is very, very mindful of movement, like you said. And it just it's so weird that it brought joy to my heart that something like that, because so many people and so many onboards. I remember when an onboard was a day. And we do a 3-day, but I feel like it's just too fast for some people.
It is. And and not to knock any other gyms, not doing this or anything. For the longest time, we did the baseline intro, pull up, push up, sit up, squat, rowing, or rowing or running, depending on if it was cold or not. And then, shadow them through a class or two, and again, hope for the best. And our old location was very tiny. We didn't have room to do one-on-ones. So doing a baseline and just putting them in was just kind of it's what we had. And then I think we introduced our 3-day version of it when we were still there, and it was a challenge. We were shoving them in wherever we could. We would do them outside in the parking lot some days, just trying to make it work. But necessity brings change, right? And we saw it necessary that people needed more, and if we care about other people, we owe it to them to do it right. And then even with the 3-day, the 3 turned to 5 very quickly, because I'm like, look how much better this is just doing this, and I'm still having to leave out so much. So came up with this 5 one, and I'm currently I'm trying to make a 10-day one. Because there's plenty of people that come in and do this, and they know they need a little more. There's this little gray area, and so it's kind of on ramp part 2 kind of thing. Where you can build off of what you've already done. Because if you're building movement patterns and reinforcing mechanics, you can just do the next level. So if it's squatting with an empty bar, cool. In round 2 we can put 5s on it or 10s on it, whatever. If overhead mobility is not there, cool, we add in more overhead mobility drills. We talk about how dumbbells can move in place of barbells, and sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. Like there's 1,000 different things that you could just explore if you just take time with people.
Yep.
Programming is good, but programming, your hour's set. Like you got to somehow navigate that all 1 hour. But if you can get one-on-one with people, now you can like really build something, and you can go off rails as much as you want if it's what the person needs.
Yeah.
So, having the on-ramp set when we bring people in, that lays out our expectations, that lays out our standards. It gives us a chance to coach. It gives them a chance to learn. When we do this on-ramp, they do pay for it, but they're not under membership yet or anything.
Right.
I tell people, when you do this, I was like, you're going to come to a fork in the road at the end of it. You're going to put me in, coach, I'm ready for classes. Or actually, I really like this one-on-one thing. Like I think personal training is more the way I should go. Or, hey, coach, you can go kick rocks. I hate this.
Yeah.
But even if they go with option 3, they're going to know their body.
Yeah. That's true.
They can't help, but they can't not learn anything from this.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And it's, and I tell them that too. It's like, there's no shame in it. You gave it an honest effort, but I would much rather you come in here and spend 5 hours with me or one of my coaches learning it right than to come do 5 classes and just be bulldozed.
Yeah.
I like that.
And so that's how you build with an athlete. And for any new athletes that want to go find a gym, if you find one that can properly onboard you and like take care of you, that's where your faith in coaches is going to come from. That's where your trusting the process is going to come from. And more importantly, that's where your results are going to come from. If you do it right, you're going to feel better. That's just how it is. Then scaling's no longer a dirty word because they've shown you how to do it. You know where you're going. So now you got some goals in mind of what your body can do. And then 2 or 3 months later, you look down and be like, where'd my stomach go? Like, what's this thing going on my arm? Like, all that stuff. I mean, the whole looking better naked thing is just a happy little side effect of what we do in here.
A bonus.
That's true. Everything falls into place.
I guess I kind of want to get more into the nitty gritty of like your gym. So tell us like how many members do you have, coaches, and maybe just little details on location, things like that for any of the listeners who might want to.
Gotcha. Well, we are in Thousand Oaks, California, which is directly inland from Malibu. So there's a pesky little mountain in the way guarding the beach, but just outside of Los Angeles County. So Ventura County, it's a little quieter. There's personal space, free parking, that kind of stuff. Decent weather. I mean, it's, happy little 65 outside right now with a little bit of clouds. And a typical suburb town. The gym, all things, I think the entire building's about 5,000 feet, but I mean, that includes, I have an office. We have an in-house body worker, deep tissue massage.
Oh, nice. I know. I saw that bed and I was like, lucky.
Oh, yeah.
Are there any appointments?
I mean, I'd love to really brag on her, but she's mean. She's mean. Her name's Nina. She's an absolute delight. But yeah, I don't know why her thumbs and elbows are so strong. And then we have a couple of bathrooms, little kitchen area, but we have our main gym floor that's probably about 3,000 feet. And then we have a little back room that we call the dojo. This is where we do all of our one-on-ones and our onboarding. And then, so we have about 170-ish members, I guess.
Nice.
8 coaches, 3 of them full-time, 3 of them part-time, and then me and the business partner.
Nice.
And then, let's see what else.
What else do you offer in addition to classes? Do you have anything supplemental? So
yeah, that's kind of what I'm working on currently, is trying to get more stuff in like that. Good and bad problems. I'm running out of time windows to put the supplemental stuff because our normal group fitness classes eat up all of our time. But right now we currently have what we call Yogability. It's yoga without the yoga. It's functional stretching, mobility work. So we'll come in, may throw in a little flow here or there, but really it's learning a foam roller, learning a lacrosse ball, learning bands, learning practical stretches where you can come in and say, hey, coach, this hurts. What do I do?
Yeah.
And we can just show you practical things that can be done at any gym or even at home to stretch and can't say rehab. I'm not a doctor, but just stretch and help these things. Right. And just to take care of your body, because that's a whole other conversation too, is taking care of your body the other 23 hours that you aren't here.
Yeah.
So Yogability is our main supplemental class right now. Typically do partner stuff on Saturday, partner or team workouts. I'd love to have a weightlifting class going. Again, finding the time block for it's killing me right now. And then God help me, they want me to do a 5 a.m. But
we do a 5 a.m. and the only way I go to 5 a.m. is because our owner's not there and he pays me.
Yeah.
That's the only way I get up is for payment.
Yeah. I mean, I told him, I was like, they're like, can't you do it? I said, you won't want me to after the first week. You're like, who's this jerk?
It's like, how many hours do you put in? Because he usually does like the 5 a.m. and then he's there until 2. And whenever I have to cover his shifts, my brain is completely gone. Mm-hmm. Like 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. and then noon. And then when I have that break from noon to 2 for open gym, I'm like, I don't even know what my name is. Yeah. Like, I cannot talk to people anymore. And I love talking to people.
So this is where I'm having to be an adult and a business owner. I love coaching. Being out on the floor and leading a class. That's my bread and butter. I love it.
Yeah.
But as a good business owner, I can't allow myself to do it that much because I got to run this place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the growing up things I had to do in ownership was stop being the star and start empowering others. And so my coaches, 2 of them were in the class with both of you, Dean and Shar, and then Coach Orlando was doing a one-on-one at the same time. Those are my rock stars out there. Those 3 lead the majority of our classes, and they are incredible. And so on an average week, I coach about 2, maybe 3 classes.
Okay.
And typically Monday morning, just because I like getting the week started.
Yeah.
I'll do like 6 and 9. I got a couple of one-on-ones here or there. But really, I am everybody's backup.
Yeah.
And because the culture that we're kind of building in here was I always want a coach leading the group. But I love it when my other coaches pick like, hey, you, I'm going to go work with you for a minute. And that's kind of what I do. I am the hey, you coach because I will be kind of just overseeing. I'll peek out my window, see what's going on. If coach needs backup, I got him. But really, it's like, hey, I remember doing your on-ramp a couple months ago. How we doing? Let's look at this split jerk. Let's work with this because the coaching is the magic of everything that we do. That coach-client relationship, like that'll make or break it.
It's the biggest thing, yeah.
Yeah. So if a coach is leading a class of 16 people, which is what our capacity is, if they're doing that, like they still get one-on-one. We still make it a point that we get touches on everyone per class. But it's, if we want to get lost in the weeds with someone, they can't do it if they have 15 other people that they're responsible for. So having a auxiliary coach, so to speak, come in and get in the weeds like
That's cool.
It ups the value of the class.
It does, to have that second pair of eyes or that person helping. Like you said, like with a group of 16 and you have somebody who, needs that work on that deadlift and isn't understanding, and you have all these people waiting for you to help them with their setup. So that is a really awesome, that's a team, right? And that's what you're building here.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
And how I know my coaches are like that kind of people is I had 3 coaches in the class that you guys just took. We were at capacity, 16 out of 16.
Wow.
And all 3 of them were doing
I
coaching
saw.
stuff.
Yeah.
I was leading the class and I had it under control, but I could glance over and Shar was working with her partner and a couple of people around her. So was Beth. So was Dean.
I was like, Joycey, I don't want to coach
right
now. I was like, stop asking me.
Well,
ask the other coach.
That makes sense.
I know, yeah.
I'm like, oh, now you want to take my advice.
I'm sorry.
Part of the thing, like when I'm bringing in a new coach is, Chris, always back to Chris.
There's always a Chris in your life, I find.
Yeah.
He told me once, he's like, hire people that are already doing the thing. Like my cleaner was already helping me take care of this place. My coaches are already coaching and wanting to help and working with people and helping out.
Yeah.
Like my media person was always
who's amazing.
Who was
right? Shout out to Marissa.
She was already bragging on people and like wanting to film and wanting to do more. These are things that like I shouldn't have to ask someone, do you want to do this? I should be able to look at it and be like, oh, you're doing this. Let's empower you to like do
Elevate
it for real.
Yeah.
And that's how I brought in the majority of my staff. Is like,
and you can feel that in the atmosphere. Like we were like just stretching and I was like, I really like the light. It just seems like so so open, so bright. Like there's not like, oh, I don't want to ask anybody anything.
Right.
I don't want to
do
not
that. Intimidating or very like,
it is very open and friendly.
Yeah.
Very smooth selling. And I loved how everything was run. Yeah. Like it's really.
And that's how it should be. Like I so greatly appreciate you saying that, but like, there's also a part of my brain to be like, wait, there's places that don't do that. What? Why?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Horrible place. Don't go there.
We've checked in on a few.
This is why, this is why I like when I drop in, I literally look at Yelp reviews, I look at their class reviews, their class schedules, and I look at their drop-in reviews because I know there's always members who like to leave nasty ones if they leave, and I'm like, I look at everything, and I need to look at their schedule because I've been to some, and I'm like, oh no, what have I got myself into? Never again, Blake. So it is.
And it is a bummer too, like especially the more experience you have, like when you want to go and like engage with it and you're like, this sucks.
it's awesome because like how our gym is run, it's very run the same. So it's also like when other people go into drop-ins and they're like culture shock. They're like, what do you mean the gyms aren't run the same as where we're from? And it's like, no, like you have to put in your homework, even though you go to CrossFit.com and look up the affiliate list. Those affiliates are allowed to run how they want. They're just paying for that affiliation.
Yeah, for better or worse.
Yep. So you need to do your homework. You can't just be like, I'll drop into this place. Yeah. And I was like, do your homework.
And it's important to know too that like there's not one right and one wrong.
Oh yeah, nope.
There's different gyms have different vibes, and like you have to vibe check everyone you go into. Yep. I mean, there should be some kind of common denominators there, but
it's the same with like times, like the 5 a.m. crew to my 4:30 and 5:30.
That's true. Yeah.
PM crew, completely different.
Absolutely.
And so the jokes land differently, or how I coach is very differently. But yeah, and that's the same with gyms. Like you also have to leave your ego at the door wherever I go.
For sure.
Though I was a little brat too this morning. So, but then I was like, what did we say? Leave that at the door.
Did you have coffee? That's the question.
No. I
know Blake too well.
And that's like that whole ego at the door thing, that should be apparent everywhere. And then on the subject of scaling, that's if you're struggling with scaling, that's usually the first question is, do I want to do the fancy trick or do I want to get better? And it's again, like squat snatches, muscle ups, and split jerks, whatever, like they're fancy and they're cool, but like they are a small part of your overall fitness. And if we are here to build overall fitness, we owe it to ourselves to do that right. And so, I'd challenge any athlete or coach that struggles with scaling and progression. Like, is it an ego thing or is it something else?
Yeah.
So what about your programming? Do you follow any certain...
We have. So I've followed some different programming. I am not that guy to get lost in the weeds on program. I definitely outsource it. But I outsource it to the extent of I treat it like a suggested outline, and then it's my job to give it to the people.
Yeah. Right.
So currently we are loosely following Proven. We followed NC Fit beforehand, and really don't have much bad to say about either one of them.
Nice.
But we wanted a little more oomph, so we tried Proven, and it's been good. But there's definitely some days where they come hard with the oomph. So, so we dialed it back. Fun fact, the one you guys just did was the dialed back version. So do with that information what you will.
Because I used to do individual stuff with Proven, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they are like. But I've also done it with Invictus and Comp Train, and there's some. And what's the other? I know there's Matt Frazier's one, but there's also
Mayhem.
I feel like Mayhem is crazy.
Yeah. So. And like this is where you have to, as a coach, you have to know your people.
Yep.
And because it's our job to take what's on the board and give it to the people.
Right.
And so it's how much you want to teach. It's like how you coach. What foundation have you laid? Because there's some days that your timeline's going to be just hard. And then so with today, for example, like I was actually off on my timeline by a minute or two because I like to talk and I like to teach, and we hadn't hit split jerks in a while. And so I will get lost in the weeds and I'll run my mouth and we'll coach and we'll be warm and everyone will be ready. But it's like, if I have a 8-person line to the bathroom, that's going to eat away at my timeline. So being able to the magic's taking like what's written on the piece of paper and giving it to people. That's definitely an art all in
That's
itself.
a skill. Mm-hmm.
But the past 2 days that we've had, like today was like very frantic, which was the name of the workout. But, but also the past 2 days were like very structured and like you can tell that something's thought out and balanced. And the big thing is always to test and retest. Like it's the like, is this working? Am I seeing results? Am I making improvements, or am I just murdering myself for no reason?
Yeah.
And then am I scaling and adjusting properly, or is something wrong in the programming? There's 2 different ways to kind of go about it and look at it. And it has to be honest. Most of the time it's going to be, oh no, I keep insisting IRX and just not getting anything good out of it. This place at about 170 members, some of my end goals, like I want to get a 5 a.m. class going. I would love a kids program. I don't want to run a kids program.
No, you don't, because I had to do that, and I finally told them, I was like, I need a break.
Yeah, I would love to empower a couple of coaches to do that and take it and run with it and leave me out of it. That's what I would like.
Yeah.
I like doing personal training a little bit, but again, like I have to limit my time on the floor to make sure I come in here. And,
because you're still growing.
Yeah, handle business stuff. And then any specialty classes that we can bring in are all bonus. But one thing that we really like to do is specialty things, such as we're hosting a pelvic floor clinic tomorrow with Dr. Rachel Cappuccino. She's a leading PT in the area with pelvic floor and pregnancy and postpartum work. So we are actually giving that away for free. Wow. It's open to the public. We've been advertising it. We want people to just come in here and be taking care of their bodies. We run a yearly charity event. Every year we'll pick a different organization and just go all out for them. We did 4 years of Barbells for Boobs where we raised over $50,000.
Wow.
We did one, actually the shirt I'm wearing, To Write Love in Her Arms, 2 years ago, raised $7,000 for them.
It's amazing.
A local group, Safe Passage, we had a look. That one was very quick, and we got $5,000 for them. Just doing things that can bring a community together outside of this and have nothing to do with CrossFit.
That's amazing. Because you're building the community out there for a safe space to have that fitness for that person. Mm-hmm. So I really like that. So you have the pelvic floor. Are there any future events this year also?
Let's see.
Or upcoming?
Yeah.
Trying to think of any that are like actually definite or versus like just like little pipe dream ideas I have. Hey, you caught me off guard on that one. I'd have to look.
Well, you can always send us, because that was the other thing, like with places that we go to, like also plugging like the community events for things and raising awareness to other things, or like the pelvic floor and raising awareness to that for women and for some men, but definitely for postpartum. A lot of moms don't have that backing. They just have their doctor who says, oh, you're clear, or oh, you're not. Maybe we should do surgery, when there's so many other exercises we can do.
Yeah. Okay. So Colton, and I'll just say this. One of our members next week is going to be signing on as the local Lululemon ambassador.
Wow.
Because she, shout out to Cheyenne. She started a run club where we meet on the weekends on Sunday morning and run different places around here. And it started as a CFTO thing, but that's also open to the public. And so that's her and a group of people went up to Santa Barbara over the weekend and did some half marathon up there. And so again, anything to engage with people and let them know that like, hey, CrossFit's kind of what we do, but you don't have to be a CrossFitter to be a part of anything.
Right.
And so she's taking that on. I'm the current training ambassador. She's coming on as the running one.
That's cool.
What made you want to do Lululemon or get into that?
So they actually approached me.
Really?
That's a very common misconception about Lululemon is that like I don't work for them. They back up what I'm doing.
Okay.
Yeah, they go and find us. They ask us to be their ambassadors, not the other way around. It's nothing I applied for. It's nothing that I did. We have a relationship with the store. Just one of the managers is a member here and longtime friend. And I mean, I like their stuff. Like it's some of the best out there. But they are very much community driven. And so the store is one exit away, very close. And so with the yoga ambassador, with me being the training ambassador in Cheyenne, eventually coming on as the running one, they will back up whatever our endeavors are.
So
every time we run a charity event, they're donating product and advertising for us. They had their store meeting in here the other day.
I saw
we
on
ran
your
yoga
social
classes out of their store before. It's
awesome.
stuff like that. So it's backwards from how most people realize it.
And then I saw Tier was here.
Yes.
And I was so upset that we're here today and they're not.
Yeah. They that's just our local West Coast rep. So like where Jeremy is a Lululemon ambassador, CFTO works with Tier.
Oh,
it's kind of like
okay.
two separate entities. But yeah, Tier's really, at least on the West Coast, Tier is really good at engaging with affiliates and making a like an effort to be like more involved with day-to-day CrossFitters, which you don't see a lot of lately.
No.
Which is why I was very like into what they were doing, because we've had little agreements before, and Reebok used to be like really big in the affiliates,
right.
and then when their CrossFit contract went out, I don't know, it
Yeah.
became a little too open-ended, I feel, with all these companies. Like, I mean, with GoRuck or whatever is the game sponsor now.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm like, what are they
What's going
bringing?
on?
That's where my confusion is. Like, what are they bringing to the community?
Yeah. Well, and I keep it in perspective with it. You have CrossFit the sport, and you have CrossFit affiliates, and those two are kind of independent. Like they blur the lines together a little bit, but I don't particularly concern myself with the games too much.
That's true. Yeah.
And like I never went to Madison. I miss them being in California. When I lived in Redondo Beach, I could Uber there. It was so close.
Man.
But,
That's cool.
Yeah, it's the sport and the day-to-day affiliate stuff are kind of two different things. So like if GoWork wants to be the game sponsor, great. But I know my affiliate, like I've never heard of anything
and
from
I think
them.
that's where my confusion was, because I was so used to Reebok being a household name, and you could go and even get like a percentage off when you went to the outlets, and with No Bull being a little bit with it, and now Tier. But that's why I was like, why GoRuck? Like just for the games? Like what is that even for?
Yeah.
That's I can't actually
Yeah.
speak on that. I
Yeah.
simply do not know.
Yeah.
But the affiliate engagement, my affiliate works with Tier. That's more of a new thing, and Innovate we've partnered with them on a couple of things, and they've been awesome too. And that's the other misconception. There's room for both. I could have 4 shoe companies in here if I wanted to, because not everyone's foot's the same.
Yep.
No.
I'm wearing Tiers right now, but I wear a lot of Strike Movement. I wear a lot of Innovate. And I've worn Nanos, I've worn Metcons, I've worn Vans.
Yeah.
It ultimately doesn't matter. You want to train in what you're comfortable in.
Right.
Are you the weird person who's done Nike and Nanos? Metcons
Well,
and Nanos?
I mean, if you want to get in the woods on that, I mean, Metcons used to be great. Now they're cinder blocks.
See, and I must have gotten the cinder block era, because I've been Nanos since 3s and 4s were out.
Yeah, the Nanos, like the 2, I really like the Nano 2s. Maybe that was it.
I was like, see, my favorite was the 4, and then when they came out with the 5 and the tongue didn't move, I was like, I don't like that.
Haven't tried any Nanos at all, so
No, they're not out anymore.
I had a pair of the 4s, and they were bomb proof. I'll give them that.
Yeah, but I wore them out. They were not destructive until
I like a minimalist, like kind of sneaker feel. That's why I like to innovate in the Strike movements, because they feel like sneakers. The Tiers feel like what the Tier trainers feel like what Metcons should have become.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
because I could see the vision. Because our coach got all the, our owner got all the coaches once a year. He does like a coach's appreciation gift, and then we do an outing, and so we got Metcons in our colors with King and CrossFit on it, everything, and I was like, oh. Okay, I've done runners. I love Nike runners back in the day. Yeah. But then when I put them on, I was like, what do I do with these? I can't do anything with these. These are too heavy for me. I feel like I'm wearing a lifter.
Yeah.
And I felt so bad.
That's like, so I guess new people coming into a gym, get a shoe you're comfortable
with.
Squishy is the enemy typically, but get something you can move in first, like
Yeah, I guess the last question I would ask, how can our listeners reach out to you or sign up for a class if they're interested in coming here?
Oh, that's great.
We want to make sure that everybody who's dropping in over here knows where to go.
Yeah. So again, Thousand Oaks, California. if you're visiting Los Angeles, I'm not close to Los Angeles.
No. Well, you're closer than where I was.
That was a good 45 minutes. Yeah. Not bad.
Yeah. I've taken a 45-minute drive for.
But hey, if you're going to the beach and you want to get a pump, like
that's it. Most drop-ins either have family here or are attending a wedding in Malibu.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Okay. But CrossFit1000Oaks.com. There's a contact form right there. That's the easiest way. Our phone number is on the website. You can text it.
Nice.
That's what most people feel most comfortable doing.
Yeah, nowadays.
Because that phone's usually in my pocket or one of my coaches, so
get
a response pretty quick. And then, if you're interested in membership, we'd love to bring you in, show you the place. Yeah. We do shadow people through classes for their first one, just to have a safety net if they need it.
Fair.
And we'll usually kind of dictate, no, not today. Maybe let's do it next week.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
But then, then the on ramp happens. If you're dropping in and visiting and an affiliated somewhere else, then totally, we love having drop-ins. We love having visitors.
Perfect.
Everyone's welcome. We work with anybody.
Well, thank you so much, Jeremy.
Yeah, and then just a quick question: what's the average price for a drop-in for anyone who just only
20?
20? All right, good to know.
Nice.
And then, that's honestly it. We do weekly rates and stuff like that. We try to be as workable as we can.
Yeah,
nice.
Some people, there's a local biotech company here that's brings in workers for extended periods sometimes, and if they're I'm here for a month and a half, I'm like, just give them whatever price makes sense for both of us. And this is the neighborhood gym. So my clientele, this place is supported by our people. If I was sitting on Venice Beach or something, I would have a steep drop-in fee because it's touristy. But that's not who we are. It's I don't want to punish someone for trying to get a workout in while they're here. We're a business, but we're okay. Come drop in. We'll figure it out.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Ladies, this has been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy. Awesome. Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much
for having us, for the workout, for everything, for the talk. Very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Thousand Oaks, for having us at your gym today and for giving us an amazing, warm welcome. We had an amazing, fun time getting to know every single one of you. And we're looking forward to hearing more about your progress, your gym, as we continue to venture out on getting to know more gyms.
Yes. And I also, some of you are going to message us or tell us at the gym, how come your gym wasn't the first? First of all, Jeremy reached out to us months and months prior to us even thinking about this segment. And second of all, we have 3 owners, and getting them all on the same schedule, we would love to do them as the first one. They're actually going to be our second.
That's right.
So getting
Jeremy from Thousand Oaks is so special.
Yep. Getting all of them on the same day is very hard. Right. And we want all 3 of them because they hold a special place with our gym.
Right.
That being said, if you guys have an affiliate in mind, whether it's yours or one that you have visited that you would love us to interview or for this community to get to know better, please email us at savagelyscaled@yahoo.com or savagelyscaled1, the number 1, @gmail.com, or always reach out to us on our Instagram or TikTok. Those are both with @Savagelyscaled.
Nice.
So until we meet at the whiteboard again.
Bye.